So in this video, I'm going to give you guys just a basic rundown of the costs and prices that I experienced when I was in Nairobi, Kenya. Keep in mind, I was only there for roughly 2 weeks, like 16 days. And just like everyone watching, we all travel a certain way. And I'm saying this because the prices and costs that you see are going to be very basic. I'm not going to touch on how much it is to go on a hot air balloon tour, how much for a private limo ride around the city, the price of 5 Kenyan strippers, none of that. Just the basics on food, accommodations, and a few other things. So with all that being said, let me get into the first one. And I'm going to touch on the airline ticket. Now this is going to vary depending on the time of the year, where you're flying from, what class, etc., etc. I flew from Colombia to Nairobi, so the trip was from Bogota to New York, and then New York directly to Nairobi, and it was $1,100 for a one-way ticket. Now originally it was $800, but then with upgrades and preferred seats and all that stuff, it went up to $1,100. I will say that from doing my research, it was very affordable flying directly to Nairobi from New York and Atlanta. I knew that would be the case for New York, but Atlanta, that surprised me. I don't know, maybe there are a lot of Kenyans there, but those two cities were very popular. As an American citizen, I'm sure this is going to be the same for many countries in Africa. You're going to need a visa for Kenya. Now the price was $50, but I decided to purchase the East Africa visa that was $100 and allows you to enter Kenya, Rwanda, and Uganda. So instead of buying a separate visa for each country, you can pay $100 and get one visa that allows you entry into all 3 of those countries. So that's what I did. Once you touch down in Nairobi, you may want to purchase a SIM card so you have internet on your phone. Now the best company from what I've heard is called Safaricom. The price of the SIM card, I'm not going to lie, I kind of forgot, but here's a list of the plans. For anybody wondering, it's like 120 Kenyan shillings, their currency, for $1 US. But it's best to round down to 100 to make math easier. If you look up top, you have the different prices in USD. And these plans come with internet, minutes. Also, if you keep going down, it says, a couple gigs free of YouTube, WhatsApp's free. Also, they have more affordable plans if you just want internet. Now, I don't remember my exact plan, but I think it was around $9 for roughly like 10, 12 gigs or something like that. Next up on the list is the accommodation. Now what you're seeing right now is just a basic studio. Usually I book these because 1, they're more affordable, and 2, I just don't need much space. I'm in between 2 areas. One is called Westlands, that's popular with foreigners, has tons of restaurants, nightlife. And then the other is CBD, which means Central Business District. I think it's their version of like a downtown, I would say. And so I'm able to walk to both of them easily, which is perfect. I stayed at this place for 16 days, so a little bit over 2 weeks, and it cost me $400 on Airbnb. And for anybody who's wondering, it just has the basic amenities. So hot water, has Wi-Fi, 24-hour security. There's no washer or dryer, but in the next complex, they have a laundromat. So it only cost me $5 to have my clothes cleaned. Let's talk about transportation. I had 2 main modes that I used to get around the city. One of them was using my feet, which is free and good for your health. The second one was with Uber. As you know, the price is going to depend on many factors: distance, time of day, the type of car, if you want Uber X. And I'll say, just like most places around the world, ride-sharing apps tend to be inexpensive, so the price ranged around $3 to $5. And then coming from the airport, it was around $9. Also, you should know that if you want to travel to another popular destination from Nairobi, which is Mombasa, the second largest city, and it's along the coast where you have the Swahili, a strong Swahili influence, and then you have the beautiful coastal beaches. You can fly to Mombasa if you want from Nairobi, or you can catch a train that goes directly there. It takes around 6 hours unless you use the express train, but those only run during certain hours. So I just used the standard train that made a ton of stops. And again, it was around 6.5 hours. The first class tickets were 3,000 shillings, which is roughly $25. And then the standard ticket was around 1,000 shillings, so like $8-9. And lastly, the food on the train was around, I think it was around maybe like 300 shillings, 400. So it was roughly $2 to $3 for pretty much any meal. Moving along, we have the food. I'm not gonna touch on groceries because I didn't buy many things from the supermarket. Mainly just a pack of 6 green apples, which is like $2.50, and then some cereal and milk, and a bag of chips. That was it. And the reason why is because I mainly ate at restaurants and ordered out. And as you guys know, the price will vary. So the mom and pop shops on the street, I didn't dine at any of those places, but I'm sure they're very affordable. I stuck mainly with the mid-tier spots. And so, for example, I went to a popular place called Kosoe, something like that, but it has the local Kenyan food. The fish with the ugali, with the, I'm gonna mess this one up, kachumbari. I think I said that correctly, kachumbari. And then a drink that was around like $10. And I also ate at other restaurants and it ranged from around $7 to $10. So it wasn't crazy expensive, but again, it depends on your palate. For example, I went to this Indian restaurant and it cost $27 for some curry, rice, and bread. Crazy high. And last but not least, we're gonna finish off with just some tourist attractions. So a few popular places to visit in Nairobi is one, the National Museum, where it gives the history of the country. That was 12,000 shillings, which was roughly $10. Then you have the Kenyatta International Convention Center, where you can head to the top and get 360 views of the city. That was 500 shillings, which is like $4. They have a few other popular places where you can feed elephants, giraffe museum. I didn't go to any of those, so I can't give you prices, but I'm sure they're very affordable. And lastly, we have the safaris, which are very popular in the country. Just like everything else I explained, the prices are going to vary. So for example, there are different safaris you can visit. I went to the Masai Mara Safari. I think it's considered one of the best, if not the best, in all of Africa. The company I chose for that one was called I'm gonna put the name, I think it's Natural World Safaris. I chose them because one, they had good reviews, and two, they are locally owned. Now, I also want to say that they have different packages. So the one I chose was a 2-day package. Companies will also offer 3-day, 4-day, 6-day, I think all the way up to like 21-day packages. If you're really a wildlife enthusiast, those packages include different types of accommodations. So they have ones that are more budget friendly, where you'll be placed inside of a tent. They have the mid tier, which is the one I had, which is more of like I'll say like a glorified tent. And then they have luxury accommodations. It's self-explanatory. You're probably at a resort with many amenities, probably your own private swimming pool, amazing views of the land. You guys understand what luxury means. So in summary, I had a 2-day safari with a mid-tier, like a middle version accommodation, and everything was included. It cost me $700. And another thing I forgot to point out is that I went solo, which also affected the price. If you're in a group, it's gonna be way more affordable. So that's another thing to keep in mind. I also went on another safari. I believe Nairobi is the only capital with a wildlife reserve right at its doorsteps. So I went to that one as well. I used a company called Waylist. I'm gonna put the name. I think it's like Waylist Kenya Safari. To book with them, it was, and remember, I'm going solo, it was $100. But I also had to pay the entrance fee into the reserve, which was $60. So in total, for a day trip, it was $160. So to conclude, these are just some of the prices and costs that I incurred during my trip in Nairobi, Kenya. Remember, very basic. I don't have prices on the strippers and the hot air balloon and all that extra stuff. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video right here. So I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope anyone who's planning a trip here soon, you found some value in it, and I'll catch you guys at the next one. Deuces.